Hi hamster lovers and welcome to Pancake's channel. Today I'm going to be talking about elderly hamster care. Recently Pancake has turned 1 year and 10 months old and he started showing a lot more signs of aging, such as fur loss on his forehead and back, slowing down a bit, as well as sleeping a lot more than usual. On average, hamsters live about 1.5 to 2 years, however some can live longer. Once they turn around 1.5 years old, they're considered an elderly hamster. Just like humans, hamsters age at different rates. This means that a hamster could be old but have no changes in behaviour. In this case, you would not need to start caring for them as if they were an elderly hamster. Some signs of an elderly hamster include fur loss, decreased appetite, gradual weight loss, slower movement, sleeping a lot longer than usual, brittle teeth, dry flaky skin, gradual weight loss, eyes a bit cloudy from cataracts, becoming more wobbly and developing diseases like cancer. It's a good idea to consult a vet if any of these signs occur, as they could also be signs of various diseases. So first, let's talk about changes that you may need to make in the enclosure. The changes that you'll need to make will depend on what signs the hamster is showing. If your hamster is quite slow and they find it difficult to get around and they're quite wobbly, then it's a good idea to try and keep the cage as flat and levelled as possible. This will make it easier for them to get around. It's important to not have any high platforms or drops, as these could potentially hurt your hamster if they fall off and they could struggle to get up there. However, hamsters still benefit from clutter as they're prey animals and they can feel vulnerable in wide open spaces. They also still need mental stimulation, so it's important to provide enough enrichment. It's still important to provide different substrates and textures as well as forage. Adding sprays is still a really good idea as they provide mental stimulation. However, they can obstruct the hamster from walking around, so you can reduce the amount of sprays in the enclosure. Even though the hamster's older, they will still need a wheel and enough bedding. As the hamster's losing body mass and fur, they will get colder quicker, so it's still important that they have bedding as it provides warmth. It's a really good idea to provide lots of nesting, such as torn up toilet paper and moss, as this will help keep them warm. It may also be a good idea to use paper-based bedding, as this will help insulate heat a lot better than wood-based bedding. Another good idea is to keep their food and water sources close to where they usually sleep. This will make it easier for them to access it as they don't have to walk as far. If you usually scatter feed, then it's a good idea to just put the majority of the food near to where they sleep and then scatter the rest. That way they can still get enrichment from foraging if they want to, but they still have the food next to where they sleep if they can't walk that far. They may also benefit from having a flat water dish so they don't have to bend over to drink. You will need to make sure that the water dish is not big enough for them to fall into though. If you have a hamster that needs frequent medication, then instead of using a hideout like this, you could use a hideout like this that has a removable roof so you won't mess up their nest anytime you want to check on them. Having a removable roof is also useful if you just want to quickly check on your hamster without waking them up. However, if your hamster's old and healthy and they can move around, then there's no need to simplify their setup. If you notice your hamster struggling with any areas of the cage, then it's a good idea to make appropriate changes. Now let's talk about an elderly hamster's diet. A common misconception is that hamsters need more protein as they age. While this is true for younger hamsters and baby hamsters that need more protein in their diet for tissue growth and building new cells, a high protein intake can increase the risk of cancer and tumours in older hamsters. They will need to have an increased fibre intake though. This is because elderly hamsters can have digestive problems and also suffer from constipation. Fibre helps a lot with this. It can also help prevent heart disease. So if you're using a young or adult hamster seed mix, then it may be beneficial to change to a senior hamster food mix. You will be able to find these on Etsy. This isn't completely necessary, but it can be beneficial. As I said earlier, one of the signs of an aging hamster is for them to have brittle teeth. This means that they may find it more difficult to eat hard food such as seeds. If you notice your hamster eating less, then it may be a good idea to offer softer foods. You will need to continue providing their seed mix though. Good soft foods to offer to your hamster include vegetables like cucumber. This also helps with hydration, scrambled eggs, porridge, as well as healthy baby food. You will need to make sure that the baby food is made out of safe ingredients and make sure that it does not contain any citrus fruits like lemon or orange, as well as no garlic. It's a good idea to choose baby foods that are made out of vegetables instead of fruit. This is because hamsters, specifically dwarf hamsters, are more prone to diabetes and fruit is quite high in natural sugar. And finally, it's important to think about your hamster's quality of life. Try to keep them comfortable and spend as much time with them as you can. That's the end of this week's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing. Bye!